astronomer, CEO, leader of the imaging team of the Cassini mission. These are a few ways to describe Dr. Carolyn Porco, who was deemed one of the 25 most influential people in space by Time magazine in 2012. Throughout her career, she has pioneered research and imaging for Saturn, its rings, and one of its moons, Enceladus, and has become one of the most important astronomers of the 21st century. But let's start a little farther back. Carolyn C. Porco was born into a working-class family in New York City in 1953. Growing up beside four brothers in the Bronx, her interest in astronomy began with her curiosity surrounding Eastern religions and philosophy. As she told Newsday's Earl Lane, she wondered, "What are we doing here, and what's out there?" This curiosity led to a fascination with planets and galaxies, and as she began at the Catholic Cardinal Spellman High School in the mid-1960s, she knew she wanted to study planets. She then went on to attend the State University of New York at Stony Brook and received a bachelor's degree in physics and astronomy in 1976. From there, she became a graduate student in the Division of Geological Planetary Sciences at California Institute of Technology, the base of NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. In 1983, she received her PhD in planetary sciences, but she had already had significant experience by the time she graduated. During her time at Caltech, the Voyager 1 flew past Saturn, amassing an abundance of data and photographs, which were too much for the imaging team to handle alone. They took on Porco, and she was given the data on Saturn's rings to analyze, with which she made considerable discoveries surrounding Saturn's ring system and magnetic field. Following her graduation, Porco joined the University of Arizona's Planetary Science Department and became an official member of the Voyager imaging team, which, in 1986, analyzed data from Voyager 2's passing of Uranus, and in 1989, did the same with the spacecraft's passing of Neptune. On this project, she was among 7 women out of the total 178 scientists, showcasing just how far the field of astronomy had to go in accepting women into their ranks. A year later, she rose to become the leader of the imaging team for the Cassini mission, which would orbit around Saturn from 2004 to 2017. In preparation for this mission, she helped design the camera system that would be sent into space, endowed with lenses of 200 and 2000 millimeters that were capable of capturing black and white, color, infrared, and ultraviolet pictures. Her research for the Cassini mission before its 2004 arrival ranged from the outer solar system to the interstellar medium, or the matter between stars, but focused primarily on the planetary rings surrounding the gas giants and the interactions between rings and orbiting moons. This research yielded the discovery of one of Neptune's ring arcs and explained the behavior of rings that were not symmetrical around an axis, or in other words, non-axis symmetric rings, as well as the ring edges in the rings around Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, which enhanced our knowledge of these features of the Jovian planets. We have Dr. Porco, in part, to thank for the capturing of 3 iconic photos of Earth from the outer solar system, such as the image known as the pale blue dot, along with 2 of the most famous images of Saturn and its rings during one of Saturn's solar eclipses. She worked with Carl Sagan in executing the 1990 Portrait of the Planets, taken with the Voyager 1 spacecraft, which yielded the former. The latter 2 photographs were taken during the event known as the Day the Earth Smiled, which was created by Dr. Porco herself, and took place on July 19, 2013. The event was designed for people around the world to reflect on our planet and its place in the solar system, as Cassini pointed toward the sun to photograph Saturn, its rings, and the Earth. In continuation of the research leading to the Cassini mission, Porco worked with fellow astronomer Mark Maley in 1993 to predict that acoustic or radio occultation in Saturn could produce specific features in Saturn's rings. According to a published paper from the Deep Space Communications and Navigation Center of Excellence, or DESCANZO, at NASA, radio occultation refers to a sounding technique in which a radio wave from an emitting spacecraft passes through an intervening planetary atmosphere before arriving at the receiver. In simpler terms, it is a satellite remote sensing technique to measure a planet's atmosphere and ionosphere. 20 years later, this prediction was verified using occultation observations from the Cassini mission. The prediction around acoustic occultation demonstrated that planetary rings, such as Saturn's, could be utilized as a seismograph to examine and measure the force and duration of earthquake-like effects on other planets, and ultimately provided a method of enhancing knowledge of a planet's internal structure. Dr. Porco then led the Cassini imaging team as it uncovered information about Jupiter and its rings in its flyby of the planet from 2000 to 2001, and then as it observed data on Saturn, its rings, and its moon since its arrival in 2004. The images from the Cassini mission and imaging team can be found on the website Cyclops, created and edited by Porco herself, who also writes the site's homepage, which is charmingly titled Captain's Log. Since then, she has been studying Saturn's small moon, Enceladus, and with Cassini, her imaging team discovered more than 100 tall geysers of icy particles on the moon's southern pole region. The geysers were found to erupt from 4 deep fractures that suggest a global ocean that is long-living, subsurface, salty, rich in organics, and thickest under the South Pole, according to the biography of Porco on her website. Porco and her team's discovery of these geysers suggest that Enceladus is the most accessible and habitable extraterrestrial zone in our solar system. Dr. Porco keeps herself very busy. In addition to all of this, she has co-authored more than 125 scientific papers about astronomy and has become an associate member of the New Horizons mission to Pluto and the Kuiper Belt. She has given TED Talks in 2007 and 2009, and has also spoken at Pop Tech in 2005 and 2006. She is the CEO and president of Diamond Sky Productions as well, which is stated to be devoted to the scientific as well as artful use of planetary imagery, and whose cause is to present science and its findings to the public, according to the About page on its website. In 1997, she served as a consultant on the film Contact, starring Jodie Foster, which is based on Carl Sagan's novel, and follows a young astronomer attempting to interpret a possible message from the Vega star system. 11 years later, she was invited by J.J. Abrams to join Star Trek 2009's production crew as a consultant on planetary imagery. She also has many honors, such as being the namesake of asteroid 7231, Porco, and being selected by the London Sunday Times as one of 18 scientific leaders of the 21st century in 1999. She received the Carl Sagan Medal in 2010 and was awarded at the Caltech Distinguished Alumni Award Ceremony in 2011. Dr. Carolyn Porco has been an extremely influential and important player in the discoveries of astronomy during the past 4 decades, and she has become a role model to young girls and female astronomers, and her legacy will be one of capability, intuition, and intellect.